of Romance Unleashed. My name is Mel and I am your host. Today we have author Shelly Cruz. Hi, Shelly.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Thank you for joining me. And I'm good.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about you, Shelly.
I hate talking about myself.
Everything from like the beginning. Once upon a time you were born in... No, I'm just kidding.
Once upon a time, I was born in Boston. Well, not really Boston, just outside of Boston in Newton. My mom's from Argentina. My dad's from Puerto Rico. I moved to Miami when I was 25.
What prompted the move?
I think it was primarily the weather, but mostly it was because growing up in Boston as a Latina, like I grew up in Newton, which is like 10 miles from the city. And we were like one of 5 Latino families.
Wow.
And I'm white presenting. And so when I used to go to school, I wasn't white enough for the white kids. And then I'd go to like my Puerto Rican family parties and they'd be like, oh, but you're white. So I had this like weird in between where I didn't really blend or fit.
Yeah.
I'm 6 feet tall. I've been 6 feet tall since I was 13. I had big poofy hair. So I just didn't fit anywhere.
Yeah.
And I had visited Miami a lot. And I really loved the Latino culture in Miami. And so I said, when I finish my undergrad, I want to be in the Latino culture. So that was a big part of it. I mean, weather really helped.
Yeah. Did you feel more at home or more, I guess, in that, like, embraced in that intersection of your culture down here than you did in Boston?
Yes. I absolutely love it. And interestingly, I had come to Miami like 2 years before I moved. A friend was in the city and I was like, oh, I'll come spend the weekend because I was at my sister's in West Palm Beach. And I was like, we can look at neighborhoods where I'm going to move. And on that weekend, I met my now husband.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was it I know from the beginning, this is who I want to be with?
Was
it a slow burn?
I don't know if it was like, it wasn't a slow burn. It was, we had gone out dancing to some place that a cab driver told us about. You know, it was like 2001 Google or 2002 Google.
Yeah.
We showed, and he asked me out to dance, and we had lunch the next day. Lunch was like a 9-hour thing.
Wow.
So we really hit it off, but then I was leaving for Boston.
Right.
And so we did a little bit of the long distance, but we really just clicked. And I wasn't looking for anything, which is, I guess, always the way, right? I had been divorced, not officially divorced, but I had been separated from my ex-husband for a few years. And so we clicked, we dated, and here we are all these years later.
How long has it been?
We met January 2002.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I tell him all the time I'm going to get a platinum statue somewhere. We've been together for so long.
So when did writing for you start?
I think I've always liked to write a little bit, but I never really did anything with it. When I moved to Miami, I started working as a paralegal because I thought about law school. And I did a lot of writing for work. And I really liked that type of writing. And then I went to law school, again, more legal writing, and I really liked it. And I had all these ideas about writing a book, but I didn't really have the time. And then COVID happened, and the only thing we had was time. So I was like, okay, well, if I don't have the time now, it's never going to happen. And so I wrote my first book, I think it was like 4.5, 5 weeks.
Wow.
May of 2020.
Really fast.
I mean, literally, we had nothing to do. The courts were closed.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't do anything for my clients. You know, the world was melting down. So that's it. I walked my dog and I wrote. And it was so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. Because I had the idea, and I had talked to an author that I've been reading, A.L. Jackson. I had talked to her. I was like, I really have this story, and maybe you should write it. She's like, no, you should write it. And I was like, me? She's like, yeah, you. I'm like, maybe. And then
sometimes people don't realize like how much like their words can really like start momentum for something, right?
Yeah.
I similarly, when I started Assimilate Con, it was because Adriana was like, no, you do it. And I was like, all right, give it a try. But like, and then that took off into a whole other thing.
Right.
But you don't sometimes people don't realize that like those words of encouragement can really like lead someone down a whole different path they didn't even know about.
Yeah. It's because I always thought like I had been doing so much legal writing,
Mhm.
and legal writing is like fact,
Mhm.
law. It's cut and dry, boring. And I was like, I can't write any fluff. I don't write any fluff. I love to read the fluff,
Right.
because I'm a big reader, but I didn't think I could do it.
Mhm.
You know, we always talk ourselves out of it.
Right.
And then I said, well, might as well give it a try. And since I had been thinking about the story for so long,
Mhm.
it was shocking to me how I was just sitting there type.
And this was 9 years.
This is 9 years gone, yeah. And I couldn't believe how relatively easy it was. And when I sent it to, I think it was like 3 or 4 people who we used to like buddy read sometimes,
Mhm.
and they were like, wow. I was like, really? You're not just like
Yeah.
just saying anything nice
Right.
because you're my friend.
Right.
You're like, no, you should do something. I was like, okay. And then that sort of just took a life right there.
Did you ever think, you are indie published right now, but did you ever think of submitting that, like going on submission for that, for trad?
I actually attended Romancing the Craft last year, and I pitched a book.
Okay.
Actually pitched 2 books, because I signed up with 2 pitching people, and I had no idea what I was doing. And both of them wanted both stories.
Oh, amazing.
So one of them I'm working on.
Mhm.
I haven't decided if I'm actually going to submit it or I'm going to indie publish it.
Mhm.
And the other one I haven't even started writing,
Mhm.
which I had told them. They're like, well, whenever you're done,
Mhm.
I want to read that.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
so it might happen. I don't know if
Yeah.
it'll happen with this story I'm currently working on, but yeah.
How was the indie publishing journey for you? Was it like, I know for a lot of people, they don't even know like where to start, how to get the resources, etc. Did you have a similar experience, or did you kind of know already how?
I didn't know anything.
Okay.
But there's a lot of like Facebook self-help groups.
Mhm.
Alessandra Tor did Alessandra Tor to, I think it's called InkersCon. And she did it during the COVID year, and so it was virtual. So I attended that. I got a lot of information.
Okay.
And then just there's so many resources online now.
Yeah.
So I just did a lot of reading. And then I've been reading indie authors since, they started way back when.
Mhm.
And, I looked for covers that I liked. And so I looked in the front matter and I looked for, okay, let's contact this person.
Mhm.
I know somebody who's an editor from these books. So I contacted that person like that.
Nice. If someone was wanting to indie publish their book, what would be your biggest advice to them?
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's expensive. I call writing my expensive hobby right now. But there's a sort of self like gratifying thing about it, because you did all the things. Sure, I hire a cover designer.
Right.
And I have this crazy idea in my head and I explain it, and then they come up with this book cover and you're like, wow, you did a good job interpreting that.
Mm.
And so that it feels really fulfilling to have so much control. At least for me anyways, because I'm a little control freak. So it feels
self-awareness important.
It's really nice to have the control of everything that I'm putting out there.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that's I think that maybe where a lot of people struggle when they go trad, when they become hybrid, when they've published for themselves for so long, that you're on your own deadline, your own timeline, like no one's telling you when, where, what. It's like that is you who are telling yourself that. And when you go trad, there's just so many more hands in the pot that you have to answer to, that I can see how that can be a little bit like, wait, I rather control this myself. Right.
And that's one of the things that this book that I pitched at Romancing the Craft, that I actually have 3 people interested in reading it. I keep getting in my head like, well, are they going to make me change the story? And they're going to make me do this, and they're going to make me. I'm already deciding what they're going to do before
letting them decide. Yeah. And you're making decisions for them.
Exactly. And so that's why I'm like on the fence about it. I haven't really decided yet, but we'll see.
What was your partner's reaction to you wanting to write romance?
He said, will you read it to me when you're done?
Oh, I love that. Do you?
A little bit.
Okay.
Sometimes, because sometimes I read something and, I'm sitting, he likes to watch, whatever he's watching, and I'll be reading a book and I'll be like, or I'll start laughing,
Mhm.
or I'll be like, ooh,
Mhm.
you know, and he's like, well, what is it? What'd you read? He lets me to read the sexy scenes to him sometimes.
Oh, I love that.
So that was with the first one. With the second one, he was actually really involved with Amor in the 305.
Mm-hmm.
Because Amor in the 305, I wrote Amaury Mejia, the main male character,
Mm-hmm.
for my husband because he's Cuban. He left Cuba on a raft in 1994. And every time we travel somewhere, somebody asks him, well, where are you from? Cuba. Oh, Cuba. The whole story.
Right.
And everybody's always fascinated by it. And I was like, you know what? I want to write that. And I want to wrap it up in a romance. But other than his, version and his friends' versions, I've never been to Cuba. I don't know anything. Right. I only know what I've been told. And so he was really involved. And my husband speaks with a very thick accent. He speaks broken English. So I wanted to write a character who speaks in broken English. So sometimes I would be like, Alex, can you say this? Okay, let me type that.
Yeah.
Okay, say it again. Just to make sure I would get it correct.
Right.
And then his friends similarly like that. And when I was done, I sent it to some of his friends, and they were like, "You got it. You did good. Like you captured our story and our essence the way it should be."
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So he was very involved in that.
That's awesome. Yeah. I also think that it's so special to be able to represent the Cuban American story in such a beautiful way, because I think sometimes, right, a lot of our immigration stories are wrapped up in trauma and are wrapped up in sadness and the American dream or whatever, right? And obviously all of those things are very important, but I think that there's something so powerful in being able to tell your immigration story in a way of power, in a way of finding love, in a way of finding family and friends and falling in love, and all of these things that we're also deserving of, that I think sometimes kind of fall at the wayside because we're focused on a different part of the story.
Right. I agree with that. And that was part of what I wanted to also portray. Because him and all of his friends, they're all so proud of all of the things that they had to go through.
Right.
Difficult as it was.
Yeah.
Sad at times. And so I wanted to be able to blend both of those things in the book. And I was really nervous because sure, he's my husband and I've heard the story.
Right.
But I was like, this is not my story.
Right.
And what if I mess it up? And what if I don't do the right thing or write it the right way?
And there's always a thin line between who should be telling the story, right?
And because he supported me, if he would have said no, I wouldn't have written it.
Right.
But he's really now he goes around telling people, oh, my wife wrote a book about me. And I was like, oh, okay. All right.
He loves it.
He absolutely loves it. And it's so fitting for him because of the way he is.
Yeah. For you, I know for 9 Years Gone, you kind of had the story in your head for a long time, but usually is it the story that comes first? Is it the character? Is it something that you see out on the street that kind of inspires an idea?
I think it's a little bit of everything. With 9 Years Gone, it was just something I had been thinking about a lot. And the main female character has a lot of personal elements from me from when I was younger. With Amor in the 305, the idea came from Alex and his journey from Cuba. I told a little bit of our meeting each other at a club, that whole story. And I kind of made it our story in that book to make it a little bit easier to write. Although, I write open door romance. And so writing an open door romance when I was kind of basing it on my husband was a little difficult for me. And I thought it was less spicy than my first book. Okay. But my readers tell me the opposite. And I was
really? Interesting.
Yeah. It's interesting. A good friend of mine, she's like, there's no way this book is less spicy than 9 Years Gone. And I'm like, she's like, nope. No.
I feel like now I need to compare both and see where.
I mean, I personally still think that 9 Years Gone is spicier.
Yeah.
But again, that's the beauty of reading, right?
Yeah. It's so subjective and you interpret it so different. I wonder if it's maybe because it was something that you knew, it's a relationship you know to your core that maybe feels familiar. So to you, you're like in it. So from someone who's removed, they're seeing it from like a different lens.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. Is it hard for you to write the spicy scenes?
No, but I also feel like sometimes I want to write it. I'm like, but it doesn't really go here.
Mm-hmm.
Like so I will kind of mention sort of surface level things.
Mm-hmm.
But because the characters are like, yeah, this is not for here.
Right.
Because once you get into the groove, at least for me, when I get into the groove of writing, they kind of just tell me what to do.
You know, and I think that's maybe people haven't like straight out said this, but I think the more authors that I've talked to and the writing process, that's kind of what happens. Like there's always a sentence in there somewhere of like the characters wanted to do this, and I think that's so like it's so wild how like your creative mind works, and that you've created this whole other world in your mind that is like now wanting to go through its own thing, which like it's so amazing.
Yeah, and sometimes I'm just like out and about. I can be like buying a coffee, grocery shopping, and I would say, well, what would this character do in this situation right here?
Yeah,
like or I'll see something and be like, oh, that's what I'm missing. That's what I need, and I have to immediately give myself a voice note, or because it'll just get out. I'll lose it.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's just every day.
Yeah. I have a notes app on my phone. I go through periods of like I romanticize everything, and so I'll like pay attention to like just the randomest things. Then I'll be like, the mailman and the hair salon lady next door. Like there was a misconnection there or whatever. And like I keep it in my note, and I'm like, I don't know if I'll ever write these, but like it's fun to like romanticize the little things in life. Like one time I was like looking at the courtyard at like work or something, and there was somebody waiting for someone else to like eat their work lunch together, and I'm like, the workplace romance, it's writing itself, please.
Yeah, I do the same thing. Absolutely. I go to a lot of work functions and like networking events, and I'm like, what can I write here?
Does your profession intersect in any way with your writing?
I think the only intersection really is that I actually write.
Right.
Although I'm a family lawyer and a business lawyer. So family law gives a lot of, I don't want to say fuel, but there's a lot of ideas of what not to do, what, or some I can create like a drama somehow.
Yeah.
So I can pull from things that maybe it's a case that I'm familiar with. I always have to be, of course, extremely careful.
Right.
No identifying or whatever, but so I can change things in a certain way. Or maybe, I collaborate sometimes with other lawyers, or we talk about, we need help, and what would you do in this circumstance? So I know other lawyers who have certain things that happen, and I'm like, okay, well, I can do this and then change it from this to this other thing, like that. So it helps. Sometimes.
I feel like a tell-all of like diary of a family lawyer would be fantastic.
Could be very dangerous.
There's that book, maybe you should talk to someone. She's a therapist, but basically I'm sure she does the same thing. Like she kind of goes through her cases and like writes different parts of her like client stories. Now that I'm thinking about what you said, probably very like a lot has to have been changed for her to, but it made me think of that. Like that'd be something I read. I think it's not self-help, it's more drama.
Yeah, there's a lot of drama in work.
Yeah.
Makes for work, it keeps work very interesting.
And like future plots maybe, Yeah,
I mean, it's never a dull day.
Yeah.
And I can always pull something from somewhere. And I'm like, oh, I can, use this little nugget here and change it this way, and then create this whole storyline from it.
Prior to you writing romance, had you always been a romance reader?
Yes.
Yeah.
Always.
What was your story coming into romance?
My story, like in what book?
Yeah, like when did you get started? How? What was the book you picked up that you're like, yep, this is it?
I mean, when I was young, I used to read. I think I read Flowers in the Attic when I was like 12 because my sister had it, and of course my parents had no idea.
Yeah.
And then I read other things that my sister would read. I read the entire Babysitter's Club series.
I love the
That
Babysitter's
was
Club
in
series.
existence at the time. And then I, in my late teens and then early 20s, I sort of stopped reading because I was in my party girl era.
Same.
And then I got married when I was 19. So books weren't a thing.
All right.
And when I moved to Florida, I read a little bit, but I didn't really pick up. And I think when 50 Shades came out and it exploded, I may have been in law school around that time. And I read that. I was reading, I read Twilight and 50, and then that just right back into it. Like as if I hadn't missed a day.
I feel like for a lot of people, 50 Shades, right? And I think we can say that for her. We could say that for Colleen Hoover, Emily Henry probably as well. They are such gateway authors into the genre. I don't think people stop there. I think once they get into it, they're like, all right, what's next?
Yeah.
And for whatever criticism there might be out there for whoever, I think that there's something really important to say about like the pivotal like roles that they've all played into the romance genre and how like the readers are now romance readers, right? Because they picked up 50 Shades so many years ago. Is there ever any point, and I'm thinking of 50 Shades just because there's some like legal things happening, but do you ever read a book and you're like, this legally does not make any sense? Like, what is happening? Yeah.
All the time. I do it with TV shows, I do it with books. And I remember before I went to law school, I had a friend, she says, be ready. So many things are going to change and they're going to get ruined. And I'm like, no, that doesn't happen. 100% happens.
Have you watched Suits?
I actually liked Suits.
Okay.
It's probably one of the very few legal dramas that I like. And I watched the entire thing. Like,
I've never wanted to be a lawyer so bad.
Being a lawyer is fun sometimes.
Yeah.
It has its downsides.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, in general, not just with legal stuff. Like, I read a book once, I don't know, a long time ago, and it was set in Miami, and she's like, let's go sit on the beach and watch the sunset. And I was like, that doesn't happen in Miami. Maybe you sit on a rooftop. So even little things like that bother me. Like, that's an easy research thing. But when it comes to legal stuff, 100%, I'm like, that doesn't happen. And so it kind of ruins it. So that's why I think I did a lot of domestic violence representation in the civil aspect, not the criminal. And I can't get into stalker romances and forbidden romance and that have a lot of those elements. Because I'm like, oh, I was involved in a case. No.
Yeah.
So it's too much for me. So
we were just talking about this, and we were talking about like the power in writing dark romance or morally gray romance, right? And like taking control back on like these narratives that can turn, right? Like, why are you hacking into my camera at work to make sure I'm at work, right? But I think that's also when there's like a responsibility to the reader, to, put the trigger warnings, obviously, but also to just like, if someone who's 15 is reading this, how do they not romanticize then like a domestic violent situation, whereas someone who is older can separate that, like, there's a difference in the two, right?
Right, and it's a really hard thing, and it's a fine line. I don't know that you can, like, how do you teach somebody who's, right? I think that goes back to, if you're a parent, your kid's reading, then you have the conversations with your kid.
Right.
And you try to, maybe differentiate these types of things and maybe read what they're reading first. Because it's a really tough place.
Yeah.
And I think just in general, like, you just have to teach them. But at the end of the day, like with my ex-husband, I'm a survivor too. And I never saw that. I never experienced it. So it can also happen at any moment, at any time, to anybody.
Right. And it looks so different, right? And I think people have this idea that domestic violence looks a very specific way, and it can be so different in the, like, who's the manipulator, what is the emotional abuse, who's gaslighting you. Like, there's so much, and I think until you don't remove yourself from a relationship like that, you don't really and it does so much to you, right? Like we can talk on and on about like the trauma that a domestic violence relationship can do to you, but I think the biggest thing for me was taking away my confidence in myself.
Yeah.
To even make a choice, like because it all rooted back to like I chose you, and like that you blindsided me with XYZ, right? And so, and I think that that's where, at least in my mind, I see a lot of the power. And honestly, dark romance is not really my thing. Morally, I can do, but like dark, usually I'm like a couple pages in, and I'm like, if there's blood, I can't do it. I'm gonna pass out. If you're stalking her, I can probably get with that still, but there's just like different things. But on the other side, I kind of see how that can feel so powerful in like taking that narrative back and creating it as your own.
There was a lot of healing in the writing that I did in both of the books. There's a little bit of elements of my experiences, and I never really talked about it because there's a lot of shame in it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm an independent, and I'm strong, and I'm this, and I'm that. And that was sort of like in the closet. Nobody knew. Nobody really. And so the more I thought about it, should I put it in? I was like, I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
And screw it. Whatever happens, happens.
Right.
And I think a lot of that comes with, now I'm older and I understand it more, and I had been doing it in court, you know, and of course, and I'm telling my clients, like, this is, you know, you empower them, and then I listened to my own words, and I was like, wait, maybe I should take my own advice. And so I said, I'm going to put it in the books, and as I wrote about it, and I was like, wow, this feels liberating.
Yeah, like you're like releasing.
I felt so much lighter. Like I had always read about that, but I hadn't really experienced it until that happened. And I was like, oh, I mean, like when they tell you you feel lighter, you actually feel lighter.
No, 100%. Like it is such a, like, it's almost like your body is you're allowing your body to like release all this tension that you've been holding on to for God knows how long.
Yep.
Yeah. It's definitely, something that once you experience it, you can finally like, oh, that's what people are talking about.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
In your books, how do you intersect your own cultures into the books?
I try to make, so both of my books have like some Spanglish in it, like Spanish words, English words, both of them in a sentence, and I don't translate them.
Okay.
And I do that very intentionally. I've been told that language is a character in my book because I very much live my life like that.
Right.
And so if you're reading one of my books and you don't speak Spanish, you can still understand everything that's happening because I translate it in context.
Right.
You know, so if I say if a character says something, then maybe a response is in English.
Right.
To the question,
to give
so
you
know,
context.
yeah,
Right.
or it's an inner thought or inner dialogue to give it context. So that is probably the primary way I weave it in, and then just like little nuances here and there. Like in the first book, 9 Years Gone, I wrote a chapter called Nochebuena. Growing up, my father we'd go to our holiday parties, and he'd play el guiro, which is like an instrument that, and his brother would play like this cuatro, which is a small guitar, and they would sing like old school Puerto Rican folk songs. And when I was 10, I was a jerk, and I was like, ugh, this is terrible. And now I'm like, I love that.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
Yeah.
I found home videos of it, and that was like a really big part of my life.
Yeah.
And so in that book, I put that small scene like that, where she's introducing her soon to be, husband to her family, so, and those are real life things, because especially for me, having grown up, and I grew up in a very white place, I would bring people home and they'd be like, well, what are you guys eating?
Right.
Whereas I'd go to my friend's house and be like, do you guys have any Elio's pizza?
Right.
And they're like, yeah. You guys don't buy it? She's like, yeah, no, my mom doesn't buy that.
Yeah.
We don't do that at my house.
Right. I think it's so interesting too how we're kind of conditioned to like assimilate, right, from like such a young age. And it's the same for me. Like I didn't realize how much I had assimilated that then I was missing my culture.
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of it I think happened to me after leaving Miami, because I think when you're in Miami you don't have an option, like you're just who you are. Like you can assimilate in some ways, but it's not the same way as once you leave South Florida, I think. And I think post that, it took me a really long time to realize, like, now as I get older, I want to get back to my culture and like the things my mom was trying to teach me, the things my grandma was trying to teach me, all of those things that other people thought were like weird or like we don't do that here. Those are all the things that I want to pull out of my life to teach my kids. Like I don't want them to grow up in this, like, no offense, like vanilla house where like there's no culture attached to it, right? Like I want them to know all of the things that, and I just wish I would have gotten that memo like a lot younger.
And I feel like my father, he was like very into that memo type thing, right? Because when we spoke Spanish at home, and I'm the youngest of 6, and he did not allow us to speak English. And so when I started, they used to call it nursery school, I guess it's what, pre-K now. I didn't speak English. And the teachers told him, like, your daughter doesn't speak English, you have to speak English at home. And he's like, yeah, sure, okay.
Right.
Not allowed.
Right.
He would literally look at you if you spoke to him in English, and he would ignore you straight up. And of course, as a kid, you find it incredibly frustrating.
Right.
Now it's the gift of bilingualism.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it was very hard to appreciate growing up in the 80s doing that. And then I would, go to school, and I would between both languages. And so it was very hard to be on both sides of that. And I was one person in school and I was another person at home.
Right.
And my home person wasn't really accepted at school, and my school person wasn't accepted at home. And so there was this, like, I felt like I was always teetering on this wire.
Yeah. I think what was also really confusing for me growing up in Miami was that you were surrounded by so many other cultures that, like, what to even pick up as your own.
Right.
Because like our family unit was a small one, and so if they weren't instilling like Peruvian culture into me, I'm really picking up whatever else, right? So I feel like for a long time I actually used to cook more Cuban food than I cooked Peruvian food, because that's just how I grew up, and no one along the way was like, my mom wasn't like teaching me how to, and those are some things that I like really wish like I would have taken more time to like spend with my grandma, and like learn those things that would take me back to Peruvian culture. Not that I don't love everything that I picked up along the way in Miami, because I think that just is what you do when you're down here, but especially when I think about like having kids and passing that out on, I'm like, damn, like I wish there was someone who would have said like, no, these are the things you're gonna want to keep. And like my sister with my nephew, she's the same way. Like she would only speak to him in Spanish. But I think once he started school, that kind of shifted a little bit, and so he understands it. He doesn't speak it though. And I always wonder like how will that work in like teaching kids and being bilingual, because I only grew up in Spanish, so I don't.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have kids with my husband. We're on the IVF journey. We had to take a break because of some stuff, and then now we're back because we have frozen embryos. But we speak Spanish at home. So I'm 100% certain that, if one of our embryos becomes a baby, we will speak Spanish at home. I mean, just because that's what we do.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy about that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because it's who we are.
Yeah.
It's like the fabric of our being.
Yeah. And I think more and more too, like I think going back to like assimilation, right? Like I think before, or I think now, and I don't know if it's because of social media and like people are more outspoken about it, there's more of a like, let's hone in on our Latinidad and leave this behind. And I think that's so beautiful. Like the more people I see come out of like their shell and like really like focus in on that, it like I don't know, I feel like there's such like genuinism is not a word.
Genuity?
Is genuity a word? It just feels so genuine.
Genuineness.
To who they are. Right.
I don't know.
Genuity, not a word.
I don't know.
Might be. Could be.
I think it's genuineness.
Genuineness?
Genuineness?
Yeah.
Oh, you're the teacher. It sounds good, so
sounds
I hope.
If it's not a word, we're gonna make it a word.
Yeah, it should be a word. What has been like the most surprising, maybe like reader feedback from them reading your books?
Feedback. Let's see. It's always interesting to have people tell you like, oh, well, why didn't you expand on this storyline? Or maybe you can write something else and write a novella, write, another book, or write this, a connected book where we learn about this. But I think more than feedback,
Or just like takeaways, I guess.
I think when a reader tells you, I love that you wrote this. I love that you didn't do that. I really connected with that. Like I really felt seen, because one of the reasons I wanted to write fiction was, reading the Babysitters Club. I didn't see anybody like me.
Right.
I didn't see anybody in the pages who looked like my family.
Yeah.
And I wanted that in a book.
Yeah.
And so for a reader to come to your table and they don't know who you are, or maybe they've already read you because they're prepared in advance of these events, and they're talking to you and they learn something and they're like, I feel connected. And
Or more beautifully, at least, I think it's, I'm seen.
yes.
I feel seen.
And so I didn't get that. And my heart feels so full when somebody tells me that they received that in reading my words.
Right.
Because really, if it's one person and that's it, then I did my job.
Yeah.
And that's who the story is
Right.
for.
Right. And I think there's so much power too in like seeing yourself. And I think more importantly, like your identity, your culture, right? I think so many of us grew up with, which I think goes back to like the whole conversation of when readers say like, well, I don't read XYZ because like I can't see myself in it. I think it's so wild because for such a long time, Black and brown kids have been seeing themselves in white stories because there weren't enough stories by us for us, right? And so if I'm able to picture myself as the Babysitters Club, that we're all blonde, blue-eyed,
Right.
a buck 05, like I was the babysitter then,
Right.
like I used to read these books by God, what was her name? I don't remember, but she wrote all of these books that were like kids who were Laura McDaniel, kids who were sick or had like terminal illnesses, but they like found love in the hospital, or like someone had cancer, the sister died, but the brother, like all of these, like I'm a Cancer clearly, and I just like I was them too, like, and I like there's so much power, and I think something really like maybe speaks to your like kid in you or something, right? Like when you see you represented in a book, I think there's nothing more powerful than that, or just like a media period.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then growing up, like a lot of people referred to me as, oh, you're that Spanish girl. And no, I'm not. I speak Spanish. Like I would try to, and people don't listen, right? And so, again, going back to what we talked about earlier, like come to Miami, I was like, oh yeah, I'm a Latina, or whatever. And I moved to Miami, and I was like, oh, I don't know anything about Latinos. Nothing.
Right.
Like absolutely nothing. Other than what I know in my house, I know nothing.
Yeah.
I didn't know so many words. I didn't know so many of these different things. Like absolute, it was wild.
Well, it's such a melting pot, right? Like I remember, like my mom going to Serranos when we first moved here and asking for like fruits in whatever way, we say them in Peru, and like there's a different way to refer them to in the Caribbean, and that was like such a learning curve because we're like, what?
Yeah.
What am I actually saying then?
Yeah, no, with my husband, like sometimes even now he'll say a word and I was like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
And but back then it was way more.
Right.
But with his friends, like they all grew up together in Cuba, and they speak in their own dialect that even now, all these years later, after being together, when they all get together, I sit here and I listen to them and I was like, I have no idea what you guys are talking about. I do not understand anything. and they're speaking Spanish, but they're speaking their own,
Right.
and it's
Dialect of it.
it's really incredible
Yeah.
the way it is.
I agree.
You know, and then from the outside they're like, but you gotta speak Spanish,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, yeah, it's not how it works.
Yeah.
Not even a little
yeah.
bit.
Yeah. I agree. Sometimes I have like my stepdad's Puerto Rican, and sometimes when there's like certain dialect he says that if he's talking to someone else and I'm translating, I'm like, I'm gonna need a second because in Peru we say that differently, and so like now I'm really translating like Puerto Rican Spanish to Peruvian Spanish to now English that
Right.
we can all understand because
Right.
there's just, and it's incredible that we're all speaking essentially the same thing. We just have our different versions of it, and I think that's beautiful.
And I wrote that speaking different words or whatever into Amor in the 305. So my experience of coming to Miami as a Latina and being culture shocked by my own culture
Right.
is written into that, because there are people who still think today in 2025 that, oh, you're all the same.
Right.
And so it was
We're
really
not a monolith.
exactly. And that was one of the most important things that I wanted to write in that book.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. What is next for you?
I'm working on 2 books actually. I'm working on it's a prequel sequel to Amor in the 305 called Love in La Habana.
Love it.
So it's Amaury's story when he's still in Cuba.
Okay.
So I'm working with my husband on that, and some of his friends too, because
I think that's so beautiful because I feel like that also speaks to like community in general and like like how beautiful those relationships are.
yeah, and I think it's important to tell that story for many reasons. But if you read both of my books, 9 Years Gone set in Boston, Boston is a character. Miami and Amor in the 305 is a character. And so I'm struggling with Love in La Habana because I've never been to Cuba. So that's project 1. And project 2 is a reggaeton rock star romance
Oh, I love it.
that I've, in the past week, I've written like 10,000 words.
love
I'm
it.
in my zone. I've been writing every night, almost every night with some author friends, doing sprints. My goal is to publish it before Steamy Lit.
Amazing.
If I decide to publish it myself and not sell it, because that's the one I pitched.
Yeah.
I'm really in my zone on it, and it's such a good story.
Yeah.
Like the first 10 chapters have been read by like 4 or 5 people, and everybody's like, "Are you writing? I need what? Give me more now."
That's amazing.
Yeah. So those are the 2 things I'm working on. I have a bunch of other things that are on my list, but there's this little thing called time.
I know. Unfortunately, we don't have more of it. What are some books that you've been reading and loving?
I think I just read. I did audio. So can we say I read if I do audio? I did the Hoop series by Kennedy Ryan.
Amazing.
Devoured it. So good.
Basically, this is the Kennedy Ryan podcast. And I think one way or another, every single guest we've had, we link back to Kennedy
That's
some
so
way
funny.
or somehow.
And then, how did I get into that? So, I had to get a book. I'm in a local book club where all women lawyers, we meet once a month in person. And it was my pick, and I picked a book, and I wanted to do the audio, and it was only on Audible because it was an exclusive. So, I subscribed to Libro, so I had to buy that book. And so then I got an unlimited for the month. And I'm in another book club that's virtual, and my pick was there, and I picked Grip by Kennedy. And so Grip, the series was on there, so I devoured that. It was so good. I think I did it in a weekend, and we met to talk about our previous book club for the virtual one. They're like, wait, you just picked that. And I was like, listen, all 3 of them in a weekend.
Yeah.
That's how good it is.
Yeah, it's so good.
So I did those. I read Curvy Girl Summer. Really, really good. I haven't read her new one. Was it Plus Size Player that just
I
came
want
out?
to read it. First of all, the covers are beautiful, but I really enjoyed Curvy Girl Summer.
Yeah, I liked Curvy Girl Summer a lot. I read Brittany Cherry's If You Stayed.
How was that?
I did the audio. I loved it. I really, really loved it.
I really love her writing too.
I mean, her writing is
I'm
amazing.
gonna have to pick it up soon because I'm due for a good crack.
Yeah, so those are I think the last ones that I've read. I read Claudia Burgoa's The Fault in Forever,
Okay.
which is the one that I had to buy on audio for my local book club. And the audio on that, the guy,
It's so incredible
So
how
good.
a narrator can truly like.
yes.
I'm currently listening to something, and I won't say the name just because I'm not loving it, but I'm not loving it because the narrators are not working for
Yes.
me, and so I think I'm just gonna have to be eyeballs for me. Otherwise, I'm not gonna be able to get through it.
Yeah, narrators will definitely make or break a book.
Yeah.
It's the same as you go to, a teacher makes or break a subject.
Right.
Same thing.
Right. Absolutely. All right. If you had to fuck, marry, kill any trope, what would it be?
I'm gonna kill secret babies.
Agreed. All the time. Every time.
Every
No
single
offense to the
time.
babies, but
No questions asked.
Goodbye.
I would marry second chance.
thank you, Michelle.
Like my number one trope. It's funny, I did a book swap at the Marlin night last week. And I was like, oh, that book right there. And I picked it up. I was like, of course it's a second chance. I can spot it a mile away.
Same. It's something about the title or something about the way
Yes.
they're like longingly looking at each other, and I'm like, give it to me.
Yeah.
Inject it.
And then if I had to fuck, maybe age gap? No. Brother's best friend. Brother's best friend.
So when I was little, talking about my brother's best friend, me and my brother had a 10 age difference. So I was probably like 8. My brother was 18. Me and my cousin had the biggest crush on one of his friends. And when I tell you, he would call this man every single day, ask for him, and then hang up when he said hello. And now I'm picturing it, and I'm like, this poor guy was getting harassed by 2 8-year-olds who were like waiting at the apartment window for him to like show up.
That's before caller ID.
Yeah. And we were in Peru, so we were probably years before caller ID. And anytime that he would come over, I would call my cousin and be like, tell your dad to drop you off. Like, you have to come.
That's
He's
so
here
funny.
right now. And the last time I saw her, I think it was like 2 years ago, we ended up like looking him up on Facebook because we're like, we need to know if like the man of our dreams when we were 8, and we're like, didn't live up to the hype. Like at 8, he did.
Right,
Now,
right.
not so much.
I'm trying to think if my brother. I have 3 brothers. The one next in line is, so I'm the youngest. Then my brother is 4 years older.
Okay.
And I think he had some cute friends. He had some cute friends.
4 years is like that perfect age.
I don't know that
where,
I had like mega crushes, but,
Yeah.
but they were kind of cute.
Yeah. Where you're like the freshman and now he's a senior and like
Yeah.
love it. Write it, please. Because I love a brother's best friend.
So yeah, it's on my list.
Okay.
On my list.
Where can people find you online?
Shelly Cruz Writes is my handle on Instagram, which I think is probably where I'm most active. I have a TikTok. I think I post like once a year, or something like that. It's the same handle, Shelly Cruz Writes. And I have a Facebook.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thanks, Mel.
Thank you for joining us. Again, you can subscribe to Romance Unleashed on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube and Instagram as well. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.